Takes.
All right, welcome back. We have a very special episode this week of Two Takes. We're going to be veering off a little bit from the normal path that we take and just having a little bit more of an open-ended conversation regarding like what is happening in the current state of affairs.
What the hell is going on now? Jesus.
Craziness, like you said last week, bedlam and mayhem and
Right.
mayhem and bedlam.
That's what my ex-history teacher, Marshall Jacobs, from when I was in high school, used to say that. We have chaos and bedlam and chaos.
I don't remember too many of my teachers' names, which is bad. Although I did remember a guy, one guy, Mr. Negassi. He was crazy. He was a crazy guy from Turkey,
Right.
And like we used to talk about like eye for an eye, and we got some really interesting conversations with him.
Right.
But anyway, so we want to talk about obviously what's going on with the current markets and coronavirus and all that good stuff. So Howard, I'll let you kind of take us away this week.
So yesterday, the Fed cut the Fed funds rate by 100 basis points, which is 1%, all the way down to zero.
So does that mean mortgage rates are zero now?
No, not yet.
That's what most consumers think.
So this is the rate that banks lend each other money on.
Right.
So they're lending each other money at zero. They also pledged $700 billion in quantitative easing. And what they're going to do is they said that they would buy about $500 billion in treasuries and $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. So this is to add liquidity to the market,
Right.
to keep the market going and keep our economy up. Because, right now we're headed to a recession, and they're trying to make it as light as possible and as far off as possible. So what is this going to do from interest rates? It should knock interest rates way down,
Right.
because the mortgage-backed securities are really what drives rates. Unfortunately for the consumer, right now, the banks and the lenders are at and way above capacity. So they're not lowering the rates because they just can't handle
Right.
more business.
Yeah.
There's, $11 trillion in mortgages out there. If half of them refinance, that's $5 trillion, $5.5 trillion. And the greatest whole year ever in mortgages was like $3 trillion. So you could see that there's only so much capacity
Right.
that lenders can take. And I think rates will dip down. It's just going to take a little bit more time than just having this plunge.
Right. And so we saw a little bit of it this morning. Again, full disclosure, this is Monday. We're shooting this on Monday, and I screenshotted on my phone this morning the text we got from MBS Highway. It was like plus 181 basis points or something.
I mean,
ridiculous.
it went over 200.
It was crazy.
Which is crazy.
And I just had to screenshot this because
Right.
you're never going to see this ever again. And to your point, I'm getting emails. First of all, we halted putting out rates, right? Because we want to see like what's gonna take hold. And I get some emails from other lenders, and they're like, we have technical difficulties this morning. I'm like, yeah, because you don't
Right.
know where to price your loans. And so I think that's the real issue is like that's the real issue with this is how low can each lender price? How much do they really want to get down to where rates should be? And then what are the investors going to purchase? How do you hedge this? I mean, there's so many different levels of or layers of issues, with this onion we have to kind of peel back. And it's just, I don't know, this is unprecedented for all of us. So I think everyone's learning as they go and trying to just, keep things at bay, really.
Well, the volatility is what kills us completely. And we love a stable market, and that
Right.
way we know what's going to happen, because we will close loans now and not sell them for a few weeks.
Right.
So when the market's way up and down, we don't know where the buyers are going to be, and if the buyers are even going to be out there.
Right.
So, and in addition, we hedge when we actually lock a loan, we put an investment into a hedge, and when the rates drop like that, the hedge also drops. The investment goes down like crazy.
Right.
And we also have lenders that they're afraid that there's going to be a margin call, like when you buy stocks on margin. So if there's a margin call, the
want the
companies
money.
that are
Yeah.
not very liquid are not going to be able to make that call, and that could literally drive a company out of business.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that during everything that's happening right now, there's layers of this where businesses absolutely can be in trouble because of all this on multiple levels. And many businesses, many small businesses might not make it out of this because of everything happening. And so I think, to transition just a little bit, well, actually, before we do that, I think, we were having a discussion this morning in our executive meeting about, do we want to start, because normally, to your point, we'll hedge our position, but in situations like this, maybe you do start, locking in best efforts with with a individual investor and just delivering that loan, because you don't know what's going to happen on the other end, and if you're even you don't want to get crushed in this market. So then, if we transition to businesses with all this, we're seeing closures, right? So I mean, obviously I kind of feel like it started with the sports, right, and all the big group events and all
Right.
these things, and now it's just trickling down to even on a everyday level of restaurants and places.
Well,
you
there are
can't go.
states now. I know the state of Illinois closed every restaurant and every bar for people eating in there. They'll let them deliver and they'll let them pick up,
Right.
but they can't eat in the restaurant. Disney World closed. A number of the
I was
hotels.
very upset about. I mean, I was actually going to be one to go there. I'm like, hey, there's going to be no lines for these rides now. So, but yeah, Disney World, Universal
That's
Studios.
like a
I saw.
hotbed for viruses.
I just hate
Everybody's
waiting, I hate waiting in
touching.
lines. I'd rather have the coronavirus than wait 2 hours for the.
Everybody's touching all the handrails, everything. That's smart.
It might have
to
been
close.
it might have been a bad idea.
Yeah, I
but
think so.
We'll never know.
Right. Now, some of the hotels in Las Vegas are closed.
I saw the MGM.
Right.
They're closing like all 9 of their hotels or something.
Right. So all of this, of course, if they close for 2 weeks and then reopen, the employees can survive that. The businesses should be able to survive that. But if it goes on longer, we're going to see layoffs. We're going to see layoffs anyway because
Right.
we're going into a recession, but that's just going to accelerate the amount of layoffs that we're going to see out there. Are people going to not be able to make their mortgage payments? Is it going to cause bankruptcies, foreclosures? Is it going to be long enough that lenders are literally going to say, you can postpone your payments for maybe a month or two and then put the interest on the back end
Right.
of their loan? This hopefully we nipped in the bud and it's going to be a short period of time. But if it's laid out a little longer, this could be 2008, 2009, 2010 all over again.
Yep.
If it gets prolonged.
Yeah, I mean, it's, how long is the question, right? Because I think we were both agreeing. We've been hearing mid-April is about when they think this thing. They're projecting that this thing could hit like a critical mass of like, okay, the most people have it now. It starts to curtail, that puts us out a month though. So like if this goes on for a month, think about the impact this could cause to businesses. So a lot of small businesses can't go a month without bringing in revenue. They won't make it through this. And then all of these other larger businesses that can weather, let's say you're Disney, right, as an extreme case, and you close down your parks and you close down your cruise lines, Disney's going to make it a month. But what about all the employees that work for Disney that are not now potentially, I don't know how every company's handling this, but are they getting a paycheck during this time? Are they not getting a paycheck? Are they laying people off? I mean, this is literally going to trickle down on every level and affect so many people, and not just from the health side, but even more so probably from the financial impact it's going to cause.
And the key here is we just don't know. So we don't know, and I don't know what companies are doing yet, and I'm sure we'll find out as
Right.
time goes on if they're paying their employees. I know in our business, we happen to be in the fortunate place that everybody wants to refinance their homes.
Right.
So we're actually having people work from home because everything's virtual in our world anyway. So it's all great. They can work from home. Everybody can get their stuff done. Not going to be as efficient as we are when we're in the office,
Right.
but at least the ball keeps on rolling and we're not losing jobs.
Well, some of these other things too, like that, I don't even start considering until after, like, we'll be talking and all of a sudden we say, well, what if, like, let's just say like the police as an example, because we were talking about this morning the National Guard being called in. So let's just say that the police department, when they start contracting it, right, and now all of a sudden you have half your police officers off the street. Or let's say you're, like, all these places we go to get our food, right? So let's say you go to Publix or you're going to Winn-Dixie, and all their employees are at risk. So as a business, what do you do, right? Because you either, if you're Publix, you can shut down, because now, like, let's say, like, my nephew's a cashier at Publix. How many people is he seeing on a daily basis that he's, passing money back and forth? He's like,
I suggest self-checkout.
yeah, seriously. I mean,
But even then,
think about
you're
this.
touching all the machines
Right.
and everything.
It's
And
crazy. Like,
Yep.
so all these different layers of, like, so now, like, that's why I think you see, like, some of this mass hysteria of everybody. I mean, Publix had their biggest sale days in the history of their company. And I'm sure Walmart and Target, they're all in the same boat, because people are going and, like, emptying the shelves of all their
that's the problem.
supplies.
Because there's plenty of supplies and the supply chain is still moving, but people are buying 5 and 10 times what they really need just because they're afraid that it's not going to be made again. And according to our president yesterday, we shouldn't worry about that. He actually said that he met with the heads of all these large companies, Publix and Walmart, and they assured him that they have goods coming,
Right.
that they can fill up the shelves, but they can't fill up the shelves for 10 times what they normally
Right.
sell.
Yeah.
So I think that everybody just has to calm down a little bit. I think for a lot of us, just stay away from each other.
Right.
Keep your distance. And over the next couple of 2-3 weeks, I think a lot of these cases will be isolated if we do all that. And we could start seeing it get on the other side of it and start getting better, where we can be amongst each other because we know we haven't been affected.
So Paul, on our next episode, I think we need to turn this table the other way so that Howard and I can try to be like 6 feet apart from
Right,
each other.
we're a
Because
little
right now,
close
there's about 3 feet, and it's about half the distance I think we should be from each other. But I think for the next at least 2, 3, 4 weeks, this is going to be something that we have to obviously closely monitor
Yep.
on many, many different levels. We'll continue to bring you guys our takes on what's happening in this market, and we happen to be. Look, I think a lot of people and a lot of industries are all being affected, but we're one of the fortunate lines of business that's being affected in a positive way, which is a blessing for our industry. But like in other cases, like a hurricane comes through South Florida, and we're affected in a not so fortunate way. So I think we happen to get on the better end of this one.
For now.
For now.
As long as refinances are out there, but it's going to affect the housing market because as there are more layoffs, as people lose their jobs, as companies go under, they're not going to be buying homes. And at least I don't think it's going to be a long term, but I think for a short term effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think the buying could be affected, and also, obviously, the refinancing. This is taking a lot of the refis off the table for the foreseeable future as far as rate term goes, for sure.
Afterward, yeah.
Right, and so, well, guys, we're gonna be bringing everything to you as we go. We're learning as we go. This is new for all of us, and we'll just continue to bring our takes to these matters.
Right. This is what's current, and this is what we're all talking about and thinking about. So, let's keep ourselves informed and stay away from the hysteria. You got to just calm down a little bit.
Yep, and obviously be safe. Don't make any bad decisions out there. Like, don't go to Disney World, Chad. I'm talking here, but just try to be smart, because I know that it's not just a lot of us are a little bit more cavalier, myself included, on like, hey, I'm not worried about getting sick as much, but it's really who you're contracting with, and who that person might be on the other end that we really do have to consider. So use your smart judgment when you're going out. If you have to go out of the house, if you have to go be around people, just use your safe and sound judgment, and don't put anybody at risk, including yourself. Just be smart. Netflix.
Yep.
Netflix and chill. So I'm Chad Riedlinger.
And Howard Vernick, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.